Greetings, everyone. Today I'm just going to chit chat with you about what I do to create an atmosphere or an environment of peace. Because as you all know, as human being, every day you wake up is a battle. It's a battle, and who are you battling with? And what do you use to create peace in spite of everything else that is happening in the world or in your life? At the end of the day, I have to take time to some quiet time just to reflect. I spend a lot of time alone, deliberately, and I'm always thinking, always trying to learn more, trying to make meaning of my life and meaning of the things around me. And in order to do that, I have to draw close to the things that make me happy. For example, water, a body of water anywhere. And thank goodness for virtual TV, I can look on the internet and I can look at nature scenes. And this is just as powerful for me as just actually going there. But I'm a water baby. And as much as I don't believe in horoscopes so much, but the idea that one born around a certain time of the year have a lot in common and has certain significance, I do believe in that aspect of it. So I'm an Aquarian, a water baby, and so I like being close to water. It does something to calm my spirit. Water has that amazing effect on me and little children. Um, no matter how bad my day is going, as I've said before, kids surprisingly, because it always takes me by surprise. I always think, well, maybe today's not a good day to be around kids because I'm feeling this way, but somehow it always helps me to find peace, and I'm so grateful for that. I have rituals that I do. Um, there are things that I practice every time I find myself sort of facing oppression. When we're talking about oppression, we're not talking about physical, but spiritual. Because a lot of the things that are happening in our lives are spiritual oppression. And sometimes the energies use human beings to do certain things, and we tend to see the human being and not see the energies that are attached to these human beings. So, we tend to say this one is no good and that one is this, that, and the other, not realizing that it's the energies. But of course, individuals have to be open to good or bad energies for them to use you. So if you're a good person, a negative, some negative vibration around you, negative energies cannot use you. You would have to be open. Your heart would have to be at a place that needs to be repaired, to be, cleansed. And you're not cleansed from baptism, that immersion, that water washes off your sins. I don't really believe that. If that's your belief, bless you. But it's not mine. Because if we take a look at certain aspect of that particular religion, you hear all the stories of how redemption was supposed to come and how mankind was to be restored to its natural form, or its a place where it's free of these terrible things, but it was never done. So they create a sent son perished, and so man can have everlasting life, and it didn't happen because men are still, according to certain ideologies, are still wicked and evil. And then hear about Sodom and Gomorrah and that people were destroyed, and stop it, stop talking that nonsense, because that didn't happen. So if that's your belief, again, respectfully, that's your belief. But I'm just saying, for me, it hasn't worked. When I used to believe in that, I used to be very angry. Angry in the sense that I would ask the question, why? When I see terrible things happening repeatedly for hundreds of years, I would say, so how is it that this particular creator that we're supposed to believe in is often so silent. So hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, the same kind of thing is happening. I just couldn't. I was very angry, and if anything, I would be very disrespectful to that idea of a creator who would just leave me to suffer. I just couldn't believe that. And so I can share this story. When believe in what people call the Holy Spirit, I'll give them that. They say Holy Spirit. I still don't have a name for it, but I can share my experience of being home alone with my last child. At the time, she was probably maybe 8 months or so, give or take. I was home at the time. My husband was in Jamaica. I remember having a conversation with him and hung up the phone. And suddenly, I felt like a vibration in my stomach, like this, I don't know, like a sharp pain in my stomach. And I found myself shaking, shaking. And words were coming, sounds were coming out of my body. There were screams. It's hard to share this publicly, but I have to. It was like screams, like I was like falling out. I don't know how else to say it. Every time I tried to get up, I would feel like someone was throwing me back, like some force, some powerful force was throwing me back. It was so overwhelming. And I was screaming, but I can't remember the words that I was saying. It was words like praise words. Just this. And I was terrified. At the time when it happened, my daughter was sitting in her high chair and she was eating. And as I kept getting up, because I was thinking of taking her out of the high chair to put her in her playpen or her crib, because I felt if she stayed in the high chair and I was continuing to be going through this, then maybe she might fall out or she might be eating and choke. I just tried to get up to get her out, but I couldn't. I couldn't get up off the bed because I kept falling back and I kept screaming these praise and it would pass. When it passed, I panicked and I called a minister at a church that I used to visit. I wanted him to come over because I noticed when people were at the church and they were like, getting into what looks like, I don't know what to call it, but at the church they say the spirit. So I thought, let me call this minister to come to my house because it wasn't very far. The church office wasn't far from where I was living. And when I called him, he says, "Oh, don't worry about it. Don't be scared." I was terrified. And he says, "Don't worry about it. You'll be okay. If it is good, clean spirit or presence, you won't come to any harm and your child will be okay." And after I hung up the phone with him again, it came back. This strong presence came back. And I think I remember him saying, just give thanks. And it passed. And I called another lady. I was terrified. Let me say this, coming out of my scream, coming out of my inside, but words of praise, words of praise, words of praise. That's why I believe that in spite of what's going on with you in your life, you really should utter praise. Find a way to give thanks every day. I called the other lady, and while I was on the phone talking to her, I just have to say it because I still don't have words for it. Came back and just took a hold of me, and I was just praising. Um, for lack of a better word, I would say I believe in the Holy Spirit in that sense. I believe in the presence, that there's something greater than you and I, and it exists outside of us. I also went to another function before, and I always used to try to go to people for prayer. And I remember going up to get some prayers, and there was a lineup in front of me, and people were falling down, and I was like in my mind saying, "Oh, this is pure nonsense. They're just staging this thing." And when I went in front of her and she put her hand towards my forehead, I felt myself like I was panicking. I was thinking, I'm falling, I'm going to fall down, I'm going to fall down. I felt this great presence over me. And I was screaming. Those same sounds were coming out. But then afterwards, I asked someone, and the person said they didn't hear anything. It was just, I was just praising. Okay, so that aspect of it, I believe in. What had happened at that church that day when I was thinking in my mind, this is pure nonsense. I think a few days later occurred at my house all by myself. To me, it was confirmation to say what happened to you at that church, it's real. And so every so often, I need to feel that presence, that high. It's like a high. It's nothing, it's out of this world. And so I say, seek it, try to find it. You see, I used to spend a lot of time in what people call fasting and prayer. I fast like, for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I used to do that a lot. And I still believe in it to a certain extent because at that time, whenever I give up something, I find that I have clarity. Whenever I say, okay, this week, and I do it all the time, even since I've been doing videos on YouTube, I say, okay, I will stay away from every social media for a week or for 2 weeks. And during this time, it's quite meditation. I have questions and I write my questions down on a piece of paper and I need answers for it, as I am doing now. I need some answers to some things, but not just answers. I need a particular thing to happen. And I truly believe that my spiritual guides, they never leave me. I don't know if I told you the story about the lion that I have dreamt about at 3 different times in my life when I was a very young girl, looking up in the sky and dreaming that there are people running around and there was pandemonium. And I was with my late aunt at the time. She was, of course, she was the one who raised me, my guardian. I dreamt that we were together and people were running and screaming. And when I looked up, I saw a lion coming out of the heavens with its paws down, two up, two down, descending like a man. And before it came down, my aunt said to me, when it comes here, show no fear. And so this is a dream. A young girl, no older than 11, she says, show no fear. And so the lion descended, stood in front of me, and tried to shake my hand. And I tried to pull my hand away from the lion. And I remember what my aunt said to me in the dream. And so I extended my hand. And when the lion opened its hands, it had thorns, all these thorns, sharp thorns coming from the palm of the lion's hand. And I was afraid, but he took my hand and squeezed it between the thorns, and I never felt any of those thorns in my hand. Those thorns in my hand. And so likewise, stood on my feet, and I could feel the thorns going through my feet. But I remember the dream. I remember what she said in the dream, and I stayed quiet. I just bear the pain and it just disappeared. That was the first one. Second dream, again, I was a child, maybe 14 years old, and I dreamt that I was in a library. And while I was in the library, the lion came to the doorway. There was only one entrance, nowhere else to go. And so everyone started running to the back wall until we were cornered by this lion. The lion came in the room and said, who wants my power? And everybody says, me. When they realized that the lion could speak, the other kids started saying me. But I was still afraid. I was terrified. I was terrified of this lion. So I was still backing away. And he said to me, I give it to you. I'm going to give this to you. Look at this. See what's happening here? I'll explain this another time. The lion said, I'm going to give it to you. And I said, no, I don't want it. And he said, I'm giving it to you. And the lion fell at my feet, was weak, 14 years old. And then as an adult, I had another dream where I was walking with all these people, mass exodus. And there was a lion with me walking through the crowd. It was leading me somewhere. But because of the crowd, I kept getting separated from this lion. And but then I would find it back. Somehow I'd be wandering around and this lion would find me again. I did that for the entire journey until finally I got to what looks like a huge building that looks almost like a church. But people that were running away from whatever it is that we're running from came to this huge building, and I ran to the top because it had a lot of steps, and I went to the very top to where the door was to enter this building. And when I looked behind me, the line was laying down at the bottom of the stairs. And strangely enough, that morning when I woke up, I used to set my alarm for 5 a.m. in the morning, and it should play to music because it was a radio. The alarm would go off and the radio would come on. And I remember when I jumped out of that dream, the this song, "The Lion of Judah Will Break Any Chains." I can't remember if I told you this story before, and if you have those who are new, you can hear it again. The Lion of Judah will break any chain. That was the song that was playing. It was amazing. Those three times, I always had or felt the presence of divine guidance, I should say, in the worst times. And there are times when things are going well and I don't feel the presence so much, but it's almost as if it appears when I need it the most. And some of the things that have happened to me in my life, good or bad, there's always that knowledge, that understanding that I am guided. And I'm so grateful. So I try to spend as much time as I can um, seeking. I'm using white sage. I live with this thing. I love it. I love the smell of it. But I love what it does. When I light the white sage, it brings harmony in my space. I mean, peace. I could be feeling so much so that I always have to have a supply of it. This is the incense, so white sage. Trust me, someone introduced me to sage on a whole, which is the wand, and I use the wand for smudging. The First Nation people use this a lot. They're often invited into new buildings, like a new parliament building or whatever new structure, to come in and to bless the space, and they use the wand, the white wand. I was introduced by this. I saw someone buying it and asked him what it was, and he said to me, "You don't know what this is?" I said, "I don't know." And he told me, "This is the thing you want to have with you all the time. It cleanses your space of any negative energy." And I swear by this. So if I move into a new home or I need to balance the energies around me, or I need to balance you know, tap into these positive vibrations, I need this. White sage, get it if you can. And as I say, I love the smell. So I'm going to smudge my space because I think it's time for it to be smudged. And this stuff, oh, it's amazing. I also got introduced to this, and I'm telling you, if I am going through whatever and I'm feeling stressed or feeling my energy, I feel low, this stuff works like magic. My friend introduced me to this. In fact, she sent me a care package and she sent these things to me, and ever since I started using this, I always have to have it. It's a beautiful smell. I remember one time I felt down, something happened, and I was like feeling, trying to fight that negative vibration that was bringing me down, but not consciously but subconsciously. And I remember my husband lit one of these without me knowing. And suddenly I felt calm and I looked around and I'm like, why am I feeling so peaceful? And so it's like that thing just went away. And then I noticed the smell of the blood, dragon blood, it's called. And this stuff again creates great harmony in my space. I share all of this to say that regardless of your circumstances, whatever is going on in your life, and I try to not blow this out. You should never blow out your candles. You should never blow out you smudge them, or you find a way not to blow on these. So earlier I lit the other one and it was just going insane. I kind of know what that means. Anyway, talk about that another time. So this incense just brings calm in my life. It makes me feel calm. It opens me up to feeling presence that are not just within but without. I feel if you're feeling angry, if you're feeling irritable, those are bad energies that are around you. It doesn't matter. No matter how you feel like you're justified in being angry, you have to find a way how to balance that, because anything that makes you feel angry, it could be someone who come at you and does something to you, but that person had bad energy, bad spirit lingers around that individual. And when they come to you, what you do is pull it to yourself. And when you're feeling rage and you're feeling anger, because listen, positive vibration is peace, it's tranquility. Anything that makes you angry and make you feel depressed, that's not a good spirit that's around you. And that's not a spirit, that's not a place where you want to be. That's why if you feel very angry, yeah, you have these outbursts, but you have to protect your energy. You have to cleanse yourself afterwards, because you would have to take the understanding. You'd have to tap into that consciousness that will tell you that is not a good thing. Rage and anger and resentment, especially if it continues, past a moment, you have to find a way how to release yourself from that, because this is what destroys you. This is what makes you ill. This is what keeps you away from your blessings. You can't create if you're enraged. So I find a lot of times when I'm very angry, I try to get out of that place, because I know that whatever is angering me, I'm not going to be able to deal with it. I'm not going to be able to reap success if I stay in that mode. I have to calm my spirit. So every time I face a battle, and even if I get upset at the beginning, I understand that, okay, you have to find a way to calm yourself, to deal with this, to counter um, these negative vibrations, to dispel them, to move them away from me, so I can create. There's so many questions that I still have, but I also have a lot of answers too. And I'm inviting you all, to set aside whatever biases you have or prejudice that you may have, and understand that you are not supposed to allow someone else to bring you away from peace. And because we're human beings and we are frail, we're frail human beings. So there are times we're taken by surprise and you get angry, but must always try to create a situation where you can return to peace. That's the only thing that have saved me and kept me all these years. All the hurt feelings that I've had, all the feelings of resentment that sometimes I hold, it hasn't really changed my character too much. It hasn't changed me as a person, because I'm not allowing it to take hold of me. So that human part of me, that weak part of me, that when these negative vibrations come around, or energies that attach themselves to me from other people, and I get angry, I recognize it. No, okay, I can't stay here. I can't. This is why I don't really keep malice. I don't really keep malice. I can't keep malice with anybody. If I'm very angry, no matter how angry I am with somebody, eventually I let it go to the point where I can say, I don't know anyone that I wouldn't be able to say hello to. If I avoid saying hello to individuals, I stay away from them, not because I didn't forgive them, but because their energy is so bad and the vibrations around them are so negative. It's consuming. And so if I go close to it, it's going to attack me. There are people who are like that. Their heart is in such a terrible place that these energies attach themselves to them. And even when they pass you, you feel it. It's happened to me once with someone very close, a family member. And when she passed me, I felt ill. I was depressed the whole day. So in those cases, I'm not going to try to go to these individuals and try to be close to these persons, but I don't really hate them. I wouldn't want to hear anything negative happen to them. And I think it's because of constantly cleansing myself, constantly saying to myself, I am responsible for my own behavior. And whatever that person does to me or says to me that upsets me, I can't let that take over my entire life. I have to remove that. I have to move that so I can be blessed. Blessings is what I seek every day. And that's what I put out there for everyone. No, I'm not going to bless someone who is perceived to be my enemy. Again, it's not that individual per se that's the enemy. It's the energies that that person allowed to be brought to them and attach itself to them, and they have no interest in cleansing themselves of that. Because I'm sure, if you felt jealousy, there are people who have seen other person's success or good things happening to people, and they're feeling envious or jealousy towards that person. And there are those who just allow that energy or that spirit to attach itself to them in such a way that they become hateful and they'll go out and hurt other person because you're jealous of them. Where other folks feel it. I think we all have some point where we feel a little bit jealous of something that someone else achieved. It's not a jealousy that is ugly. It's something where, oh, I wish that could happen to me too. That is jealousy. The moment you start seeing someone with something, you should desire your own things without seeing anyone else with it. Anything that you see with someone else that you start thinking, oh, I want that too, I should have that too. See, you shouldn't want what anyone else has. You should be, every time you see someone with blessings in their life, you should be saying, I'm so happy for you. I'm genuinely happy for the person. I'm feeling it. You should feel a state of celebration to say, "Oh my goodness, that is so awesome." Like somebody won the lottery and you behave as if you won it. Someone bought a new house. You act like it's your house. You're so happy for the person where you don't have time to say, "Oh my gosh, when is that going to happen?" The moment you start saying, when is that going to happen to me? When is that my time? No, that's a bad energy. That's what they call jealousy or back home bad mind or envy. Don't allow that energy to attach itself to you. It's not good. It's not good. You have to get rid of it. Anyway, this little chit chat with you. Just wanted to share this and to say that I do believe, not in the way some people believe in a God. In fact, I believe in many, 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 many. I believe there are many energies around us. I think nature is vast, and if you look at mankind, the fact that there's so many people from so many different races, it just goes to show that there's no one of anything. If you look at the animal species or the plant species, there's no one of anything. They come from the same family. If you look at birds, all the different types of birds, you look at fishes, different kind. So if everything is so diverse, how can there be one of this, what people call the creator, is just one? That's not possible. And I don't think these vibrations come to you the same way they go to other persons. You just have to know and understand. For me, for example, every time I live in a particular space, there's always a special room in that house where I hear I feel the presence, and I hear from my guides. Special place. For me, it's always close to water. So it's going to be either in a washroom or in a kitchen, anywhere where there's a water supply is guaranteed. But I remember have lived in an apartment before, and it's right over the doorway, the frame of a doorway in my bedroom. Every time I enter that space, I get strong vibrations and I hear things within my spirit, that profound things that would say, do this, that, and that. And when I do it, it's just exactly what I needed to do. Or I'm going somewhere and I'm passing through that space and it says, hey, go back and get this. You're going to need it when I get there. And one day I'll tell you a story about going through an appeal process with something and what I was told to do. It was just profound. If you like these kinds of videos, let me know. I'll share more of them. Yeah, so it's always close to a water source, and it's where I hear when I need answers, when I need clarification, even when I'm not seeking it. I could just pass that space, and right away I get the answers that I need. In this house, it's in my kitchen, and it's very powerful in that space. And I don't go there to hear, not it just happens. If I go, it's not a deliberate thing where I go and say, okay, you can't just go and say, speak to me now. This is, I need to hear from you now. It just when the spirit needs to educate you and to inform you. But you have to have this open mind. And I think these energies and these spiritual, guides need to know that you're not just coming to ask for things, but you're also remembering to give thanks, remembering to always say thanks for the things. It's almost like you don't have to remind your guides what they've done, but it's nice to know that you remember. It's nice to know that you remember. So for peace and love and harmony, we can't just expect it to come to us. We have to go in search of it. And when we find it, understand that sometimes in the Christian world, people say the Spirit of God doesn't remain with man at all times. Well, these energies around us sometimes take their leave. And when you need that peaceful moment and need to hear from them, you have to create harmony in that space. Anywhere there's chaos, there's no positive vibrations in that space, please understand that bad energies are there. And one of the best way to cleanse the area of that is using the sage wand. If you have quarrel in your household, if you find that you're keeping malice with people in your household, because you're going to have disagreements. We're human beings, we're going to have disagreements. But if you see a day passes, like I've never had a day when my husband and I had a disagreement and the day ended and we didn't speak. It never happened. And I think that's part of the reason, because I understand that if, things start to get weird, or, chaos is coming close to my household, I know that, okay, whatever is happening, whatever negative vibration that have attached itself to me or anyone else in my household, we just have to get rid of it. I don't want to run too much in this video. Thank you for watching. And if you have any other questions, feel free. If you have any comments, if you want to share how you spend time with your God or your gods, how you spend time, tapping into that sweet and more beautiful part of life. How do you get over troubles? What activities or what practices do you have to build this special bond between you and the desire of ages? Stay blessed, everyone.